Hey everybody, it's Paul Grossman, the Dark Arts Wizard of Test Automation, and today we're going to be taking the Candymapper challenge with Whoopi. And this automation tool has a pretty cool starting approach. You have 4 predefined AI prompts that will allow you to begin your test automation suite development. You might have an e-commerce site so that the AI is already prepared to say, okay, this is going to be e-commerce we're going to be doing. You could do banking if you got a banking application, so it's pre-populated in the AI prompt, or you can customize it specifically to your app. You begin the challenge by entering in the website www.candymapper.com into the test environment URL. Whoopi will be providing a playwright script based on the analysis that's performed as it interprets the instructional steps of the test. And there is Candymapper. And what we really want to do is close this pop-up. That's our first requirement. But you'll also notice in here, I have the requirements stated on that page. It says to go and click the X button to close the pop-up, and then populate the contact us field. And really what we mean is we're just going to put in the person's first name into the first name field, and then click the submit button in order to generate a message that says an email is required. After that, we'll enter the email, we'll click the submit button, and then verify that the response will be within 48 years. You'll notice that right there on the page, it's identifying that there's an issue that says that massage is not the right word that we're going to be needing in here. It actually should say verify any success message. Now that is being produced by Grammarly, which is a web browser add-in extension. It's not part of Whoopi, it's just something that you can add in there. That's a good tool to have just to verify that your sentence structure and your spelling is correct when building your website or test automation framework scripts. So we're going to populate the contact us field, and by doing that, as I mentioned, we're going to enter Marcel into the first name. And the way we do this is just tell the AI, hey, this is what I want you to do. Enter the name Marcel into the first name. The next step will be to click on the submit button. So we're going to go over here, take a look at our page. There is first name. That's where Marcel's going to go. And then we're going to click the submit button, which is below the input fields. So we'll put in clicks, C-I-L-I-K, click the submit button. And the next step is to verify that a message appeared that says the email field is required. This is pretty interesting because there's no interaction with a page object model. There's no XPath, no CSS that's going on with this particular tool. You're just telling the AI, these are the statements that I want to do. You can write this any way you want. It doesn't specifically have to follow a predefined sentence structure in order to build your statements. Just state out what needs to be done. And in this case, you can see we're defining step by step exactly what is being performed while we are filling out that field area. At this point, we have to take a look and see what we're going to have to do in order to get to our ultimate goal of validating that the text 48 years appears on the screen. So the next thing to do would be and resolve that particular issue that is being brought up by the error message. The next step is we're going to populate the email address into the field, and you could say whatever email you want. We don't collect them or use them or sell them. It can be completely fake. It doesn't matter. So we're putting in the email field with any email address. And then we're going to copy that submit button line and just paste it underneath there. And then we're going to verify that the page contains the text 48 years. And that's essentially the entire test. So it's written in about 4 minutes, 37 seconds, which is good, just under 5 minutes. But of course, the second state of this is that we need to have the test case actually run and execute to its final result. So we'll clear off the last bit. Those are all the statements. Well, now we're at the debugging stage. In this case, we are going to create the test case and execute it and ultimately resolve any final issues that will be blocking us from completing the test to a final passing state. Now, to be able to go on to the second level of Candymapper, what we'll need to do is add in a phone number, because the phone number actually is required on the second version of Candymapper. We'll look at that in just a moment, but that's okay. We're just going to add in one more statement to say we need to add in a phone number into the phone number field. So there's our phone number being populated into the phone number field. All right, now that we've got that, it will be able to execute on both the Candymapper initial site, which is candymapper.com, but that is hosted by GoDaddy. However, there's a more advanced version, which is essentially assuming that, hey, the developers decided to change the entire architecture. And if you go to candymapper.net, you'll find a Wix version, which is a completely different underlying architecture of the exact same website. So over here, we are executing the test and we're looking at our tool results. And it's identifying the locators that it needs to get. So we're doing a little bit of debugging here to identify what's going on. We have tool calls, we have tool results, and you can see all the arguments being passed in to execute this. So that's our analysis. The AI did the analysis of the entire script of what's needing to be done. So we are now executing the test and running through the process step by step. Now the challenge here is we want to close that X button on that pop-up. So that's our first challenge, is there, are we able to click the X button and close that pop-up? Now, we don't intentionally try to make Candymapper difficult to automate. It is just simply a pop-up with an X. It's not custom written. It is all drag and drop that is provided by GoDaddy to do a interface creation. And since GoDaddy is a major designer of many e-commerce sites, it is representative of a typical e-commerce website. Now, one little thing to know here is that when you log in to Candymapper for the very first time, it will write a cookie to indicate, hey, I've been here before. In order to get that pop-up to come up a second time, you have to go and clear your cookies. So we're going to clear all the cookies out of the website so that when we hit it again, we'll get that pop-up to regenerate. And then we can take a look at exactly what object is inside that to identify that X. So our timer continues as we include debugging into the design time while taking the Candymapper challenge. So we are at 9 minutes. Not too bad. So there's our X. We'll go inspect and take a look at it. We can see that this object has, it's an SVG object. And we're looking to see if there's anything that's identifiable in there. Now, you'll see that there's data data in there that says it is close or close icon. So we're going to modify this to say, by saying, hey, click the close icon button in order to close that pop-up. So we're going to give it another run and see if that closes the pop-up window. There's just one extra character there. There's a single quote. So we'll clean that up a little bit and then give it another analysis run to see how well it handles that new line for closing that pop-up. So there's the analysis running to identify the elements that need to be interacted with. This is really cool. It's got a very deep analysis that you can take a look at to identify exactly what needs to be executed, what elements need to be interacted with, and how they'll be done. And here you can see some of the results of what it pulled back, because we're being very generic about what we are looking to identify, and the AI is taking a look at the messaging to see that, yes, I see something that fits the requirement that we stated, that the email field needs to be populated before the test to continue on. Now, one of the cool things that we'll be having shortly will be using ARIA labels to identify elements by default. So now we're going to enable those ARIA locators. That is a new feature that's coming up. But it did close the website, so that's a good sign. It did close the pop-up window, so that's a good sign. So the next step was to go and enter the first net. You'll see that the AI will actually make multiple attempts in order to clear out that pop-up. And then it's going to put in Marcel into the name. We can see that in the lower part of the screen. Marcel was entered in there successfully, so that step is complete. So we're going to revert back to the taking the we're going to give it another run. and take a look at what the next error is. Now, this is common with almost all test automation tools. You have to do some debugging in order to get the application to be automated and fulfill your requirements as needed. The next statement was to enter that phone number, a fake phone number, into a phone number field. And remember, we're only adding this because we want to try and take the next level Candymapper. Just by taking the same script and running it against a different version of the website with a different underlying architecture. And so once we get all the steps available, so it did click the submit button. However, the error message that we're looking for is actually off screen. So at this point, what we want to do is we're going to start taking full screen captures of the entire website in order to capture that. So there we've told Wopie to take a full page screen capture. So you can see the application is fairly customizable with a lot of different features that you can add in. So the crawler went through the website and identified all the elements it's looking for. Checking the results here to see if it was able to click the submit button. So we're going to give it another execution with the full screen captures in order for it to validate that it sees the text on the screen. There are other assertions that can be done that can assert that some text is on the screen, but outside of the viewpoint. So it's still doing the analysis of the application based on the script that we had written on the AI prompts in order to execute this. We're checking the prompts to make sure that they are correct. And then we're going to go and create this test. And this is auto-creating this in Playwright, which is, of course, one of the more popular automation frameworks that are available. We're continuing with the analysis of the application to identify the elements based on the plain English descriptions that are on there. There's our instructions. Now you'll notice that there are other different tabs available on there where you can take a look at the user case, the user stories as designs for your test case, and then the test cases can be generated from the user stories. So there's the whole process of what's being input, what's being a description of what the application is, and then the story. So we're going to take the description that we have there and we're going to actually add this as a test case. And there's our Candymapper testing challenge. We'll give it, and then we'll give it another run and see how the AI handles this. We're just going to double check, make sure that the full screen capture is enabled so we can catch the messages that we're looking for on the screen. Now the agent is executing. Okay, there it is, setting up the job. We're looking at our runs, and now you can see the full screen capture is displayed on this. So the entire page can now be analyzed for the results that we are looking for and the fields that we have up there. Now, there isn't a recorder that's involved with this tool. It's entirely driven by UI prompts. There are other statements like verify visibility of text. And that's something that's being improved upon in the version of Wolby. So asserting the visual state is the way that you can take a look at the entire screenshot and see if the text that you're looking for is visible and available, even if it's outside of the viewport. It essentially verifies the text within the DOM. This is a future feature that will be implemented shortly into Wolby. We're still doing the analysis as the agent is making its way through to enter and fill the information and do the validation. And we will call the test completion time here at 23 minutes, 29 seconds. Next thing we'll do is do a completion of the execution time of this test. It's currently in progress, and we'll get a timing at how long it takes to complete all these steps in total. We can see in the screen captures that his name is Marcel's name is entered. That's doing another assessment to see if it's going to populate. So now it's going to go and click on the submit button. And in fact, there's our message. Please enter a valid email address is displayed. So we have our first validation available in there. Next should be to go and populate the email. We're entering the phone number into the field, and there's our phone number, which was done correctly. Now it's populated the email. And lastly, it's going to click that submit and verify. We see 48 years appears on the screen. And I believe we have a passing state. And we'll call that total execution time at 1 minute 53 seconds. And there's our validation. Let's take a look at our final validation, the message for 40 years. So we have all the green check marks. So that's our completion of the Candymapper challenge with Wopie, coming in at a very respectable 23 minutes 29 seconds with an execution time of 1 minute 53 seconds. Thank you very much for checking out the Dark Arts Wizard channel. Please like and subscribe, and we will catch you another time when we take another test automation tool against the Candymapper challenge. Have yourself a great day.